What if I told you that one of the earliest prophets in biblical history delivered a chilling prophecy about the final days, a prophecy so profound that it was buried in the shadows, hidden from generations? Imagine discovering a message that has been silenced, not because it was false, but because it speaks too deeply to the truth of our times. Are you ready to uncover what the church feared so much? This hidden prophecy warns us of a spiritual battle unlike any other, one that we are still fighting today. So, if you believe in the power of knowledge and the light of Jesus in our lives, subscribe now and join the conversation. Where are you from? And what miracles has Jesus performed in your life? Your testimony can inspire others, and remember, Jesus will bless you and always be with you. May His light guide you on this journey. Few biblical texts have intrigued and mystified scholars, theologians, and laypersons as much as the Book of Enoch. Its absence from most biblical canons raises questions that delve into the fabric of religious history. Why was this ancient manuscript, revered in its time, systematically silenced by the church? Why was a book, replete with tales of rebellion and prophecy, deemed too contentious for the canonical scriptures? The fascinating tale of the Book of Enoch takes us into the shadowed corridors of the early church's decision-making processes, places where perhaps decisions were made not just for spiritual welfare, but driven by fear and control. In the nascent periods of Christianity, complexity and divergence characterized the collective understanding of spiritual and theological truths. The Book of Enoch, with its vivid details and celestial narratives, found favor with early church figures, utilized as a source of instruction and moral guidance. Nonetheless, despite its widespread influence, it was left out of the biblical canon at the councils of Carthage and Laodicea, among others, leading many to ponder whether the church's motives stemmed from a protective stance or a more concealed agenda. Central to the Book of Enoch's controversial nature is the detailed account of angelic rebellion. This storyline presents the Watchers, celestial beings that centuries ago dared to cross divine decrees, descending upon the earth and corrupting humanity. Their union with human women led to the birth of the Nephilim, beings whose very existence defied the natural order. The book's candid depiction of such cataclysmic events, rooted in divine judgment and transgression against heavenly commands, hovered perilously close to themes that some early theologians might have found unsettling. In an era where the emerging church was dealing with countless heresies and diverse interpretations of Christ's message, a narrative emphasizing divine rebellion could potentially destabilize the church's authority or even its dogma. One could theorize that there was a lurking fear. Could these celestial rebellions parallel earthly ones? Could exposure to such stories fan the flames of doctrinal dissent? It seems plausible that the church exercised caution, safeguarding the faithful from narratives that could be misused or misunderstood. Additionally, the apocalyptic visions woven through Enoch's account, visions that echo thoughts of impending judgment and an eventual return to divine order, present another layer of intrigue. The councils likely deemed the vivid depictions of end-time scenarios as potent seeds for fear, distortion, or divisive speculation. Controlling interpretations of apocalypse and divine retribution would cement the church's role as the primary arbiter of what was spiritually valid or necessary for the masses. Beyond theological considerations, the Book of Enoch's exclusion from most biblical canons might also have practical underpinnings. The process of canonization was inherently political, reflecting power structures and a need for coherent narratives intended to unify the Christian community. With its complex, multi-layered visions of heaven and punishment, Enoch's tome did not fit neatly within the homogenized teachings sought by church leaders. Perhaps it was easier to undertake a campaign of silence than to provide explanations for its myriad complexities. Yet, while the institutional church largely discarded the Book of Enoch, it found enduring life among various Christian and Jewish sections. Ethiopian Orthodoxy holds the text as canonical, intriguing scholars with an alternate dimension of early Abrahamic thoughts. This persistent reverence for Enoch suggests that, despite the church's overtures to bury it, The themes it addresses resonate across the ages, a testament to its underlying spiritual gravitas and unsettling truths. In unearthing the story of the Book of Enoch, we must grapple first with human frailty and a complex past of spiritual exploration and suppression. Were efforts to silence Enoch's voice genuine attempts to safeguard believers? Or did they reflect anxiety over truths that might empower more than intimidate? As we continue this exploration, the elusive shadow of Enoch's manuscripts challenges us to discern whether these words were a relic of ancient conspirators or treasures of divine insight concealed for the discerning soul. What if I told you that an ancient celestial drama is unfolding even now? A drama that seeds its roots back to when divine beings decided to abandon their heavenly posts and descend upon the earth, forever altering the destiny of mankind. These beings, known as the Watchers, made a choice that spiraled into a cascade of corruption and impurity, a choice of forbidden love that bore children of great size and great sin, the Nephilim. Enoch bears witness to this in his text, a narrative seemingly too perilous for the official biblical canon. But what does this tale of rebellion and hybridization mean for us, thousands of years later, as we edge closer to what some describe as the final days? We begin by exploring Enoch's depiction of the Watchers, those angels tasked with observing from afar, but who instead yearn for earthbound existence. Led by figures like Semiaza and Azazel, their lust for humanity led them to take mortal wives. In their union, the giants, the Nephilim, were born, an unholy lineage that brought with them ancient wisdom and uncontrollable might. Genesis 6 briefly references these characters, hinting at a time when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men. But it's Enoch's expanded account that provides graphic detail, a detailed examination of divine recklessness that snowballed into cataclysmic wrath. Scholars and theologians debate these passages, wondering if humanity, in contemporary times, mirrors that era more than ever. Theologians see in Genesis 6 the prelude to divine judgment through the flood, a cleansing of widespread corruption. In parallel, Enoch brings further light, envisioning a chaotic end-day scenario. Enter modern theories that compel us to look around and within. Could advances in genetic engineering and the bounds we're breaking in transhumanism draw us back into the age of Nephilim, albeit through the lens of modern technology? The Watchers imparted forbidden knowledge to humanity, from weapon forging to the mysteries of the heavens. Today, knowledge expands faster than our wisdom can process. Like in Pandora's tale, it poses as a double-edged sword. As Jesus mentions in Matthew 24, verse 37, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." These words ignite robust debate. Could Enoch's insights inform this prophetic warning, suggesting cycles of corruption, judgment, and potential renewal? In a time when digital footprints and artificial intelligence reshape our lives and realities, the concepts of hybridization and transformation both excite and terrify. Our pursuit of science and tech might be noble, yet the echoes of past angelic descent remind us of the thin line between creation and destruction. We then turn our gaze inward. The idea of hybrid beings isn't entirely foreign in our cultural mythos either. With pop culture embracing themes of alien encounters and superhuman heroes, ourselves being part divine or part machine feels eerily plausible. It's no longer the stuff of dreams or delusions, but potent plots we wrestle with in real time. With advancements in bioengineering heralded as cutting edge today, the convergence of human and machine questions our essence. Are we building societies or empires that regress us to a time when the Nephilim walked the earth with their colossal strides? Jostle this with Enoch's prophetic vision, where human endeavors mirror celestial hubris. And it's perplexing to imagine humanity, in its quest for godlike capabilities, ignoring history's somber lessons. Now, contemplate Matthew's notion of a world preluding a second coming. Days revisited by misdeeds and resolve defiance against natural order as it delves into the spectrum of transgressions past. Our modern constructs are intricate interweavings, yet vulnerability nestles within every advancement. Digital realms, unnoticed, open new voids for corruption and deceit, scenarios that would make the watchers themselves pause. As we blur lines from organic to inorganic, and laws are rewritten like code, we echo choices made eons ago, echo lies inscribed across ancient manuscripts. Finally, ask, are we not about to tread on paths unwary sketched by ancestors in their dance with fate, or are we diligent arbiters grounded by vigilant watchfulness? Humanity's course wins on this precipice. Understanding Enoch now could provide insight into averting chaos as we approach our era's dusk. Walk humbly lest tradition's ghosts reveal a haunting prosaic tale, spiraling further than any past folly, toward an epic steer to new vision or another Genesis whisper. Is it happening now? This imminent finale Enoch so feared? In this age of enlightenment and indiscretion, the spiritual gravity nudges us. Watch, repent, and heed as we, builders of tomorrow, sculpt destinies shaped through hallowed tomes, thundered from mountains, ancient bounds, and now grown audible in our present corridors of tech-driven whispers. For perhaps only in such a synthesis, where reverence, forewarning, and awareness coexist, can we provide ourselves the latitude to understand before the final days unfold their age-old script anew. Enoch's vision of the Antichrist, a false light deceiver. In the unfolding narrative of apocalyptic prophecy, the figure of the Antichrist stands as a central enigma, a false messiah, a pretender cloaked in deceptive glory. While the book of Revelation and the letters of Paul to the Thessalonians provide chilling portrayals of this end-times deceiver, the ancient writings attributed to Enoch offer some of the earliest and most intriguing insights into this looming threat. Enoch's vision, recorded long before the canonical texts, provides a precursor to these warnings, painting a vivid picture of a supreme trickster who will lead humanity astray under the guise of divine intervention. It's a tale as old as time, with roots stretching back to the ancient world's fascination with the battle between light and dark, good and evil. Enoch's version of the Antichrist is characterized not just by evil acts, but by a profound deception, a counterfeit peace and unity that masks a sinister undercurrent. This false light is alluring, drawing many into its fold with the promise of miracles and signs that appear heavenly but are otherworldly and corrupt. In the book of Revelation, the parallel is unmistakable. Revelation 13 speaks of the beast, a monstrous figure given power and authority by the dragon, who deceives the inhabitants of the earth with convincing signs and wonders. The people, dazzled by his apparent power and benevolence, worship the beast, unaware of the darkness they welcome. This imagery is strikingly similar to Enoch's description, where the deceiver arises not with an obvious malevolence, but cloaked in the guise of angelic righteousness. The people, instead of resisting, are drawn in, seduced by the promise of a utopia that ends in ruin. Paul's letters to the Thessalonians deepen this characterization by identifying the Antichrist as the man of lawlessness, an individual who exalts himself over everything considered divine. Here, the Antichrist is portrayed as a rebellious figure who sets himself against the truth of God, employing false signs and wonders to establish his dominion. The deceptive nature of his power is emphasized, illustrating how he thrives on illusion and the manipulation of spiritual truths. In this context, Enoch's vision gains even more resonance, as it underscores a universal theme: the danger of deception masked as enlightenment. It's fascinating to consider why Enoch's apocalyptic visions, filled with such profound insights, were excluded from the canonical texts. Could it be that these revelations posed a challenge to the early theologians' understanding of the divine plan? Within Enoch's writings lies a thread, a warning of the seductive nature of false prophets and the ease with which humanity can be led astray. This omission has led to speculation that perhaps these messages were considered too controversial or too poignant in their critique of the coming spiritual deception. The deceptive nature of the Antichrist is what makes this figure so dangerous. Unlike the fallen angels in Enoch's previous visions, who were openly rebellious, this deceiver operates under a veil of righteousness, embodying a seductive power that confuses and captivates. It is this subtlety that threatens to blind the world to the truth as people are drawn to false promises of peace and unity. The lesson here is timeless: to discern the true light from the false, to stand firm in the faith that what glimmers isn't always gold. And so, Enoch's vision serves not only as a foreshadowing of the Antichrist, but as an enduring reminder of the perpetual vigilance required to maintain spiritual clarity. While other scriptures warn of the existential threat this figure poses, Enoch's narrative challenges the faithful to sharpen their discernment. In an age where deception may masquerade as light, recognizing the true spirit within becomes crucial. As Revelation's messages unfold, and as we tread through these prophecies, we are invited to stand guard against the lures of deception, aware that the greatest threats often emerge not through brute force, but through seemingly divine promises. The day of judgment and the glorious return of the Son of Man emerges as the climax of an age-old saga, a spiritual theater where divine justice and eternal hope intersect. The ancient text of 1 Enoch, particularly chapters 61 to 62, paints a vivid picture, one resonating with the powerful depictions found in Revelation 19 and Daniel 7. This revelation is not merely an anticipation of divine rectitude, but a profound unveiling of an epoch where holy justice will transcend earthly realms. Picture Enoch's vision: the elect one seated upon a majestic throne, a celestial court convened to administer justice against the rebellious spirits and earthly tyrants who have long ruled with oppression and deceit. This throne signifies more than power. It epitomizes authority derived not from mortal might, but divine ordination. As the Son of Man takes his place, the veil between heaven and earth thins, revealing a cosmic balance on the cusp of restoration. This imagery conveys an apocalyptic scene where the fabric of existence is realigned through divine justice. Revelation 19 refrains this cosmic rendition with vivid descriptions of the rider on the white horse, the judge who is faithful and true. His eyes are like blazing fire, and on his head are many crowns. This imagery reverberates through time, echoing in Enoch's ancient prophecies. The recurring motif of fire symbolizes purification, a divine incineration of corruption and iniquity. This fire isn't a mere elemental blaze, but a representation of justice that refines, restores, and renews the world. In parallel, Daniel 7 speaks of the Ancient of Days taking his seat, a vision so profound that it threads time itself into a singular divine narrative. The books are opened, and judgment ensues, echoing Enoch's portrayal of celestial deliberation. These parallel revelations provide a groundswell of evidence supporting not only the consistency of divine messages through ages, but their urgent relevance to today's spiritual landscape. The portrayal of Judgment Day in Enoch's narrative strikes both terror and solace into the hearts of its audience. For the unrighteous, it heralds a reckoning, a culmination of choices made in defiance of the divine covenant. For the prepared, however, it offers a profound reassurance, an affirmation that their steadfastness in faith will be rewarded with eternal communion with the divine. This duality in Enoch's vision adheres closely to the heart of apocalyptic literature, which often reveals the dual paths of redemption or ruin. A critical function of such visions is the exhortation to remain vigilant, urging believers to lead lives of integrity and faithfulness. The glorious return of the Son of Man is a promise that justice will not indefinitely delay, that truth will ultimately triumph over the fleeting cunning of falsehood, embodied by the Antichrist and deceptive rulers outlined in prior chapters. This also serves as a stark reminder of the ever-present spiritual warfare that continues to rage, unseen yet profoundly influential on earthly events. The narrative arc also highlights the transformation awaiting creation itself. As Enoch's vision aligns with scriptural revelations, the nature's groans for redemption will cease. The return of the Son of Man heralds an era wherein divine harmony restores natural order. This resonates deeply with theological perspectives that view redemption as all-encompassing, extending grace to not only humankind but to all of creation. In this tale of divine reclamation, the Son of Man's return is not merely an end, but a beginning, bridging the temporal to the eternal, transforming tears into joy and despair into hope. This is the hopeful crescendo that defines apocalyptic prophecies' call to live not for the present moment, but for the eternal promise. As these prophetic visions are examined, they urge believers not just to await passively, but to actively prepare through lives of faithfulness, embodying the qualities of mercy and justice championed by the elect one. The victorious culmination of divine prophecy beckons the faithful to live in anticipation of a divine era of peace, a new heaven, a new earth. The glorious return is thus both a promise and a call to align our lives with divine will, preparing ourselves and our world for the transformative justice of the day of judgment.